and we are live on another edition of Let's Talk Broncos. I am Kurt Valenti, your host for tonight. I am going to be solo tonight. Jen's having some issues with her computer, but I am going to be joined by a very special guest who I am very fired up to have on the show. Not only because he's great at what he does, awesome Bronco guy, but I think alike like him, and we and him think alike. And I think it's going to be awesome with this show. And I'm going to bring him right in. And here we go. My very special guest tonight is James Merilatt, digital editor from Denver Sports Radio. What is going on, James? How are you?
I'm great. How are you doing tonight?
Awesome. I am so glad to have you on. I really do appreciate it. Listen, I'm going to get right to it because I'm from Jersey, but I'm a diehard Bronco fan, but we've obviously collaborated with a lot of Denver fans and stuff like this. And this is just crazy times for me. You know, it is just crazy times. I'll start with you. What's your whole thoughts on this, Russell Wilson, Sean Payton break up, split up, and I'll let you have the floor.
Yeah, I mean, I think the whole thing is, I think it's craziness. It's nonsense. It's ludicrous. So here's the thing, and I get Sean Payton wasn't here for all of it or for any of it really, but like the Broncos, since they won Super Bowl 50, since Peyton Manning rode off into the sunset, they have been on the carousel, right? Like that's the graphic they put up on Sunday Night Football or whatever of all the quarterbacks they've tried. And you name the method, first round pick, second round pick, free agent, former Super Bowl MVP, journeyman. They've tried every single option out there to fill that void and haven't been able to do it. And now they're voluntarily putting themselves back into that position by moving on from Russell Wilson. So that makes no sense, right? Like I'm probably the biggest Russell Wilson supporter in town. I think he's been pretty good. I think he's the least of their problems on offense. I don't think he's been great. I don't think he's flawless. I think he's trying to fly like an eagle or soar like an eagle when he's flying with a bunch of turkeys. So look, it's I'm a fan of his to start things off here, but to move on from him when the plan is what I think is ridiculous. And then the other part of this that really just drives me nuts, Kurt, is everybody looks at it and says, well, he's not worth the money. Granted, I'll give you that. He's not.
But who is in this? What quarterback is?
It's all relative. And the other part of it is if they could cut Russell Wilson and turn the page and move on and have no financial restrictions based on it, fine. Okay. I'm not going to argue it. But to move on from a guy who's a borderline Pro Bowl quarterback, 26 touchdowns, 8 picks, and have $85 million in dead cap, more than double the previous record for dead cap over the next 2 seasons, it's idiotic. It makes zero sense at all. So I am so up in arms. I am so frustrated with arguing with people. And Kurt, I don't know if you saw my tweet earlier today.
I did.
I've been having the same argument for 25 years. It's John Elway retired. It's the same argument other than the Peyton Manning 4-year hiatus from it of game manager versus guy with talent. And so many people in this town just want the game manager. It drives me crazy.
I mean, it drives me just like you said, Case Keenum, Flacco. I was a Drew Lock guy. I really did. I just think he didn't get a fair share with, Fangio and all that, but Brandon Allen, right? Teddy Bridgewater. You just don't win with those guys. And now it's like, oh, well, let's see what Stidham is. Listen, I'm a diehard Auburn Tiger fan. Stidham was good for Auburn, right? Beat Alabama, beat Georgia that year, but he's not gonna win in the NFL. He's not. I'm sorry. It's not gonna happen. And like you're saying, you're going from Russell Wilson, Pro Bowler, Hall of Fame, Super Bowl champion. And again, and I'll get into that with you about the offense that he ran, and we should be on our knees thanking that we have Russell Wilson and we want to go, well, let's get Jarrett Stidham and let's get it's mind boggling. You do not win. Like I've always said this, we're not walking into Arrowhead with Stidham saying, let's go beat Mahomes.
You're not
happening.
And one of the examples I use for people is go back to the Houston game this year. right? They're down 22-17. Russ drives them down the field. They have 1st and goal from the 8. They can't get in, and he throws a pick on 3rd down. Disappointing finish. Ultimately turns out to be one of the games that kept him out of the playoffs. But the most kind of disappointing thing for all of us was we expected them to win. We thought Russ was going to pull it off.
Yep.
And for people to just discount that feeling because Trevor, Teddy, Joe, all these other guys, we would have never thought they were going to drive us down there. We'd have had no hope. And Russell Wilson gave this team excitement, gave them hope, gave them the reason for optimism. He had moments of magic. And moments of magic, there aren't a lot of quarterbacks who have it. You can get 100 guys who can go out there, and when everything's on script and everything is drawn up exactly like it was on Wednesday on the whiteboard, can go 1, 2, 3, throw to this guy. 100 guys, 200 guys. But there are a handful of guys who can do what he did on 4th and 2 in Buffalo when Sean Payton thinks it's going to be a zone defense, it's man-to-man, and he makes the most improbable completion in the next-gen era, stats era, to Cortland Sutton for a touchdown. There's only a handful of guys who can do the 16-point comeback in the 4th quarter against the Patriots. I get it. They shouldn't be in that position.
Right.
But you don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. When a guy can do that kind of stuff, you figure out, how do I make it work with him? Like they do in Baltimore with Lamar, like they do in Buffalo with Josh, like they do in Kansas City with Mahomes. It's maddening to me, these damn offensive-minded coaches who think their offense and their system is the greatest thing in the world. And by gosh, I don't want anybody who can't do exactly what I want them to do, and they think that's going to work. It's the epitome of hubris and ego. It drives me crazy.
Yeah, you know what? You just nailed it. Where, and I know you wrote an awesome article about like Reeves and Elway and stuff like that. But if you really look at it, I mean, Elway, listen, I'm a diehard Bronco. I think he's the best quarterback of all time, or one of them, obviously. But was he look what he did throughout the game? Now here comes the 4th quarter. Let Elway be Elway. That's what makes these guys great. It's not about like you're saying this system. So basically, Sean Payton saying, I can't coach Josh Allen. I can't coach Lamar. Who could he coach? Drew Brees? There's no Drew Brees. That's not happening anymore.
Well, and yeah, essentially that's what he's saying is I can only coach Drew Brees or Drew Brees type, right? Okay, so look in the playoffs that are about to start. Look at the teams that have a legitimate chance of winning it. Other than Brock Purdy, who has the best running back in football, one of the best tight ends,
and the best play caller, right?
And the best play caller. Other than Brock Purdy, who's a Drew Brees type?
Exactly.
It's not 2009 anymore.
Exactly.
Right? The game has changed, and Sean Payton hasn't changed with it. And the Broncos, and people are like, why let it go? Why are you banging on this drum? Because they're about to make a colossal mistake.
I agree.
And again, if they just made the mistake from a personnel standpoint and a roster standpoint, but they freed up all this money and they could go do something else, I still think it's a mistake. But people don't understand it when they say they're $85 million in dead cap. They're going to be hamstrung for 2 years. I wrote a story today.
I saw it. It's mind-boggling.
From a standpoint, they're much better off to just keep them.
Right. Mind-boggling. Mind-boggling.
I mean, Kurt, if you said, you know what? Let's see. What am I selling here? I'm going to sell you a book, and you said your book's a book's not worth $300. You're right. You're right. But would you rather have a book for $300 or no book?
Yep, you're right.
That's the option here.
Yep.
And the fact that people don't get it because the money's essentially the same, moving on from him or not moving on from him, it drives me crazy. And I'll tell you what the biggest thing is. There's so many people in this town, man, who they just want to make sure Sean Payton is their buddy, and they won't say anything negative about him. And they have just taken the company line and they're running with it. And I'm just not going to do it. I'm not. I'm gonna call it what it is. And this is a mistake. It's something that's going to set this organization back for 5 to 10 years, unless they just happen to stumble into the next Drew Brees. And I'm going to scream from the highest mountaintop. And maybe nobody listens. That's fine, but that's what I'm going to do.
You know, you made a great point, and I've always said this, where these quarterbacks, you know, they're just, and I'm not talking Russell Wilson, any of these quarterbacks, like, you know, one of our good friends, Ryan Scoop Woodhams, he's commenting in now. I'll get to comments in a second, but he's a big Eagle fan. But is Hurts worth over $50 million? Is Dak, I already said Dak,
Right.
40 million, you know, but you got to pay. I mean, if those guys are making money, how could Russ not say, with 2 Super Bowl appearances, he really should have had 2 Super Bowl championships, but a Super Bowl championship, how many Pro Bowls, how many times did he bail out Carroll there in Seattle? He's not going to get more than Cousins, more than Dak, more than Herbert. Like, what has Justin Herbert done? I mean, how could this guy not get the money?
Right.
So yeah, they're not worth the money, but just like you're saying, it took us forever. We got lucky with Peyton Manning, right? We got lucky. He got hurt. They drafted Andrew Luck, and okay, Manning was able to get him. Elway was able to get him and stuff. But look at what we've had. And now we get Russell Wilson, and we're just going to throw him out. We're just going to get rid of him for what? Like, that's the question. What? It can't be Jarrett Stidham. It can't be.
No. I mean, goodness, we just watched this, right? We've just seen this for 7 years. So that can't be the answer. And I've told people this all season long of like, look, if you want to move on from Russell Wilson, fine. What's the plan? Right? If you're telling me it's Caleb Williams, okay, sign me up. But, you know, Jaden Daniels, sign me up. But based on the fact that Sean Payton can't coach Russell Wilson because Russell Wilson can't run his system,
exactly.
How are those college quarterbacks going to come in here and be?
Who's he honestly? He was Drake May, right? Or JJ McCarthy. What pocket passes are there? And Bo Nix, right? That's it. He can't say I want Jalen Daniels, because then what did you do with Russ? Because you just showed you can't do this.
Right.
So we're going to draft him for what?
Yeah, it drives me up a wall. And look, again, Russell Wilson has his limitations, but the guy they got this year is so close to what Russell Wilson was for 10 years in Seattle that they gave up 4 picks, two ones, 2 twos, 3 players, 3 starters for the guy that was in Seattle. They have him this year. That's pretty much what he's been, right? Like, he's going to make some mistakes, but late in games, he can pull it out for you. Yep. He'll make some magical plays. He can throw the deep ball, whatever. And they're going to pull the plug and move on from him. Like, last year, he was overweight. He was trying to be a pocket guy. He was trying to do it. That's the exception. 10 years in Seattle, 1 year this year. 11 out of 12 years, Russell Wilson has been what Russell Wilson has been, and the Broncos get exactly what they traded for and say they're going to move on. It's lunacy, Kurt.
It is. It's and you know, I don't know. Let me ask you this: do you think the Walton Penners, are they all in with Sean Payton, or do you think? And I'm gonna ask you this. You know, I know last year. I mean, I'm a big Jim Harbaugh guy, and I know he went out, what is it, the second time to go meet him, and then, eventually he decided to go back. But do you think the Walton Penner, especially Greg Penner, like, he's just, here's the keys, Sean? Or do you think in his mind, like, I really have to look at this and make a decision? Or is it just whatever Sean wants, Sean's going to get?
It feels like whatever Sean wants, Sean's going to get, but we're going to find out, right? And that's part of the reason I'm banging this drum of, it is a lot cheaper to move on from Sean Payton than it is to move on from Russell Wilson. I get it. They owe him $72 million. They got $85 million in dead cap and $39 million in cash that's going to go to Russell Wilson for not playing here. There's a salary cap, right? So dead cap actually impacts you. There's no cap for coaches. You just eat the money and move on, right? So if you're worth however many billion, paid $4.65 billion for the team, and you're worth $80 billion, you eat $72 million and move on. That would be a much more prudent business decision for Greg Penner than to go down this path. Because let's say you get 2 years into this, right? And now
it's a disaster.
Yeah, you've paid $39 million to Russ cash not to play here. You've had $85 million in dead cap for him not to play here. Sean Payton, you paid him another 36, and then you decide to move on. Now you've cost yourself way more money. It doesn't make good business sense at all. He was the wrong hire. I'm with you. Jim Harbaugh was my number 1 guy.
Yeah. So let me ask you this: in a scenario, he comes out, whether he wins the national championship game, whatever, and he says, I'm going NFL. right? Number one, I don't want him going to the Raiders or the Chargers because now we
Nope.
got to deal with him there, right? You put him with Justin Herbert, they're going to run the ball. Now that's going to become a problem. Can Penner really look and say, listen, this really is, just like you said, this was my number one guy. I think he could work with Russ. Hey, maybe he drafts JJ McCarthy or he drafts his guy, but for a year or two, he works with Russ. He's going to run a system for Russ. Is that something like, he really has to think about? What do you think?
I would think so. And again, it's easy for me to say, it's not my $72 million. Right. But the only thing standing in their way of doing it is cash. That's it. And they literally have cash to burn. So that shouldn't even be a worry. Whereas the moving on from Russ thing, yeah, the $39 million in cash, it ain't going to matter to him. Right. But the cap hit is the cap hit. Like, you can't get around it. That's still going to impact the team. And, Sean Payton, as soon as they got into cap purgatory in New Orleans, he bailed, moved to LA, and started working for Fox. So
can he bail again? Exactly. There's a great chance it doesn't work. Boom, here he goes. I'm bailing again.
Yeah, it doesn't work in 24. He looks at a $47 million dead cap hit for Russell Wilson in 25 and says, I'm out of here. That's your worst case scenario, right? Now you have no Sean Payton, no Russell Wilson, and that dead cap. I just don't think you can.
But I think there's a chance that happens. I really do. It's a scary thing to think as a Bronco fan, but I think there's a chance, like you said, he bailed on New Orleans, right? Go back, hey, I don't like this. I can't do this. Or now when you talk about screwed, you don't have a quarterback, right? Yep. You don't have a coach. You're not going to, who's your next guy, right? Harbaugh is going to be in your division. I don't know. I really think this is something Penner has to think about. And I know you're saying it's a lot of money, but it's not a lot of money to them. It's really not. And you're saying there's no implications. There's nothing with the cap. Hey, you could do whatever you want. Sometimes something could just be, hey, it's a bad fit. And you know what? If your number one guy was Harbaugh, go get him. Why not?
Agreed. And take the Russ thing out of it. From day one, Sean Payton has made mistake after mistake after mistake, right? The Jarrett Bell interview where he had a couple too many lattes and he went after Nathaniel Hackett. The onside kick to start the season. The fact that the first time his long snapper, holder, and kicker had a live game rep was in the season opener, and they missed an extra point, lost the game by 1. Calling a timeout before a 4th down punt right before the end of half in Kansas City that gave the Chiefs more time to get a field goal. Calling timeouts when the Patriots on Christmas Eve were more than happy to just go to overtime once it was 2nd and 4. That was coaching 101. Like, he's made mistake after mistake after mistake, and nobody in this town mentions it. Nobody. They just talk about, Russ doesn't go through his progressions. I mean, it's like, hey, do the Broncos just send you the bullet points they want you to say and you just regurgitate it? Because come on, fellas. Oh, he doesn't go through his progressions. And these people going on this week and acting like they saw a discernible improvement.
Yeah. Well, see, that's the thing, James. That's the thing. Like, I think that's where, like, people have egg on their face. I really do, because they was like, oh, we're going to see 320 yards and we're going to put up. Listen, that Charger defense just gave up 63 points 2 weeks ago to the Raiders on Thursday night. So we're easily put up 30 points. I mean, we scored 16 points. That wasn't a good performance on Sunday.
No, it was terrible. It was
that's what we're going to bank on for 2024.
And their only touchdown came on a great individual effort by Lil Jordan Humphrey. That's it. And it was great. In most games, that leads to a field goal in most games. And good for him, he made that play. But it 16 points was anemic. The Chargers had just as many yards, had one more first down. Like, the Chargers offense was terrible. It was actually more productive than the Broncos in the game. And to try and make that, the fact that they got the one touchdown actually makes it look better than it was. It was awful, and that was on a day when Sean Payton was doing everything he could to show how smart he is.
Oh yeah, he had to, and
it still turned into that result.
And I'm going to be honest. I don't, I just think I don't know. Sunday on the road in Vegas, going to be playing for Pierce. I don't know. I think it's going to get ugly. I really do, and I just think now it's just, I don't know. I'm not a fan of this. I just think when you can get a guy like Russell Wilson, after years of journeyman. And you do not win with journeyman quarterbacks. I don't care what anybody says to me. This guy's, you're not going to win. You win your tops 9 games, 10 games, and then that's it. You do not have a chance to go into Arrowhead and say, "Hey, Stidham, let's go. I'm backing you. We're going to beat Mahomes." It's laughable. Did you ever think the Broncos were going to win with Teddy Bridgewater going into that year and to play the Chiefs?
No, nobody did. And I see some of the comments coming up of, well, Stidham had the same stats against the Chargers as
Right.
Russell Wilson did. It's like, all right, do you watch the game or do you not watch the game? Right? Like, the guy did nothing where you went there and said, wow, no one else in the league can do that. He did something that every backup and every third string guy and most of the practice squad guys in the league can do. That's what he did. Yep. So to me,
he's a backup. He's a backup.
He's a backup.
He's a backup. That's it.
It's all about what is a more likely path to becoming a really good offense. So you move on from Russell Wilson, you eat $85 million in dead cap, and you hope you stumble into the next Drew Brees. That's path one. Number 2 is you go sign a free agent receiver, ton of good ones on the market, sign a free agent running back, ton of good ones on the market, and you draft Bowers, the tight end from Georgia.
Yes.
Which path is more and you keep Russ. Which path has more chance to be successful? And people say, well, you can't do that if you keep Russ and his number. Again, his number is not going away.
Right.
The cap hit still is there. That's the part of it that people just don't seem to wrap their head around. And I think the Denver media has done a total disservice in terms of explaining that to people and letting them know it. It's just all about, well, he's not worth $50 million a year. Fine. Let's accept that that's true. Now what?
Really? Now what? No, and our good friend Jody Moncrief saying, good question for you, saying, James, why did Payton adjust to Hill in New Orleans, but he won't adjust to Russ?
I think it's because Taysom Hill was a few plays a game kind of thing. He was a wrinkle. He was somebody they could have a special package for, and he could come in and do stuff. But they weren't going to long-term build the offense around Taysom Hill. If they were they wouldn't have brought in Jameis Winston. They wouldn't have done some of the other things they did once Drew Brees wasn't the answer. So it was because it was a novelty. It was a few plays a game. Look, he's shown he can coach one guy. One.
Yep.
Drew Brees. That's it.
You know what? And that's scary when you look at the big picture of it, because, my offense, like you're saying, my offense, my scheme, my whatever, but was it your scheme or was it the one player?
Well, he's never developed a young quarterback. People say, well, he was in Dallas for Tony Romo. No, he was gone before Tony Romo ever started a game with the Cowboys. Gone. So he hasn't. And look, was it Drew Brees or was it him? I don't know. Was it Elway or was it Shanahan? Was it Montana or was it Walsh? Like it takes both. But he stumbled into Drew Brees. The Chargers, Drew Brees had the injury. Chargers had the number 1 overall pick. They traded it to the Giants, wound up with Phillip Rivers after taking Eli Manning. Miami wouldn't clear Drew Brees' shoulder on a physical, and he winds up in New Orleans. It all worked out. But if you want to bet on that happenstance of all those things falling in your way and the dominoes going in your direction, okay. But I think that's silly. And here's the other thing. Okay, which do you think is more likely? Russell Wilson goes somewhere else next year and is successful, or the Broncos stumble into Drew Brees 2.0?
I was just going to say, I'm going to be sick to my stomach as a Bronco fan watching them say in Pittsburgh, go 12-5, 13-4, win a division in an AFC championship game with a run game and a defense. And like you're saying, we're going to win 6 games with Jarrett Stidham. I mean, it's going to be sickening. Because that's what Keith Brugman, good fan, saying, what success does Russ need for this to be a mistake? What if Russ never returns to his old self? It's been since 2018 already. So,
okay. All right. I mean, his old self, 26-8, we would have taken 26-8 from almost any quarterback we've had since Peyton Manning, but okay. And I love, God bless you, Keith. You keep banging the drum here in the comments, but the owner, the GM, and the coach have decided it's time to move on. What don't we understand? All right, well, I just outlined all the mistakes Sean Payton has made. You want to go with George Payton's track record? Like that's okay.
Right.
Randy Gregory, great signing, right? Hiring Nathaniel Hackett, that was a hell of a decision. Let's see, trading 7 assets for Russell Wilson, giving him a $250 million extension 2 years before his deal is out, before he's ever played it down as a Bronco. Like, and then Greg Penner's resume for making good football decisions is what? What? Like,
I know it's my, here's another one from Graham. Here's a question for you. And it's a huge hypothetical as they're not firing Payton, but who's the right coach to bring in for Russ?
I would take Ben Johnson, the offensive coordinator from Detroit. And look, Jared Goff has his limitations, but Sean McVay found a way to make it work, got all the way to a Super Bowl with Jared Goff, right? Sitting in his earpiece until the play clock hits 15. He's basically reading the defenses for him. Like, he found a way. Ben Johnson has found a way to make it work. Part of that is he surrounded him with an embarrassment of riches, right? Laporta's a great rookie tight end. They got 2 very good receivers. They got 2 very good backs. But I think Ben Johnson has found a way to be creative with it. So I would go that direction. I would say, hey, bring in somebody. Give me somebody who's had success offensively in this league since George W. Bush was in office. Yeah, that would be great.
Travis is saying, man, Sean Payton is the least of our concerns. Are you seriously blaming the first-year coach who may lead us to a winning season since 2015? He's saying George Payton is the problem. But how much control does George Payton have now? I mean, isn't this really Sean Payton's show?
None. Yeah. George Payton doesn't have any say in it. Okay, so if VJ had called a timeout prior to punting with a minute to go in the first half at Kansas City and given Mahomes an extra 40 seconds that turned into a field goal right before halftime, we wouldn't have been giving him a hard time. If Vic Fangio had given up a 70-burger, his team gave up 70, the first time an NFL team's given up 70 points since 1966, nobody would have been saying anything. If Nathaniel Hackett, in a 23-23 game with under a minute left, after the first down, the Patriots get 6 yards, and it's 2nd and 4, would have called his timeouts and allowed the Patriots to decide, well, hell, we might as well go try and win this thing in regulation when a field goal can beat the Broncos while one can't beat them at the start of overtime. We would have been giving Hackett a hard time. But you're right. Sean Payton, first-year head coach. Shit, he's never done the job. Why should we give him any criticism? He's a first-year head coach. Our first-time head coach. Give me a break.
But I just don't understand, like, this concept of, like, and Matt Staffiero is saying, well, he went 7-2 with Hill, 5-0 with Bridgewater, 6-4 with Winston. First off, those are all, again, they're all backups. And if he did that, then why doesn't he stay in New Orleans with all those guys? Like, why, like, you're not going to win with those guys. And any of those 3 guys, you're not going to win with. I mean, in my opinion, but you know what I'm saying? But going back to this other thing. So now just say they move on. What are realistic options, James? What really? Because you say I'm just going to say they win Sunday. So they go 9-8. Right? You lost 4 games at home, Commanders, Raiders, Jets, Patriots. You should have won 2 of those games. So you're on the borderline of an 11-win team with Russell Wilson as your quarterback. You're going to go next year, just say with Stidham or whoever, and now you're going to go backwards and win 6 games. Why are we doing that? For what?
I don't know. Like, honestly, Jarrett Stidham is your most likely option. He's on the roster. He's under contract. He's a $5 million option. They're not going to go sign a free agent, right? Maybe. I mean, right now they have the 14th pick. If they win, it's probably 16. If they lose, it's probably 12-ish. All right, who you getting there that's coming in? You know who you're getting there? Mac Jones. You're getting Mac Jones 2.0. That's what you're getting. So, again, it's not that I'm like, hey, we can't move on from Russ. You got to tell me what the plan is, and I fail to hear.
There is no plan. Well, I just threw this out there, and how crazy is this, right? Because I think, I don't think Sean Payton is really, okay, I'm going to stay here 5, 6 years, build this. And I think he wants to be the first coach, win a second Super Bowl, whatever, maybe get back out, go back to Fox, whatever. But I don't think he's in this for the long run, like you said. But let me ask you this. Is this crazy? And I know I saw Florio put this out the other day too, but a couple years ago or last year, it was supposed to be Sean Payton and Brady in Miami. Is that crazy? I mean, he wants a pocket passer. He wants somebody that throws over the middle. He wants somebody that's, that's going to have high completion percentage. Is that something even possible? I mean, do you think Payton has a plan? Well, hey, maybe I could bring in Brady for a year, draft a rookie. Could he do something like that? I know he's older, but I mean, the guy still threw 25 touchdowns, 4,500 yards a year ago. And there were some tea leaves coming out. Oh, I was going to come back, but my friends threw a retirement party. I just don't think Sean Payton can go and bank his career and say, I'm going with Stidham next year and I'm going to roll. I mean, does he have something of a plan, you think, of Cousins? I mean, I don't know. I just can't see him going saying it's Stidham or bust for me next year. Because I can't.
They're not going to have $39 million in dead cap next year, $46 million in dead cap the year after, and then also spend money on someone like Kirk Cousins. They can't afford to have a $70 million quarterback room, right? And they're not going to get Tom Brady in here for $6 million a year. So it's going to be someone like Jarrett Stidham, or it's going to be a rookie. That's what's going to happen. And yeah, I think he thinks he can win with a guy who will run his system. I think he thinks if he's got a guy who, he said it after the game, oh, we didn't turn the ball over. All right, fun. That's really enjoyable to go watch. Go watch a guy who the number one takeaway from the game was he didn't turn the ball over. I get it. You can't throw picks. You can't fumble. The fumbles have been Russ's number one problem this year, in my opinion. It's been inexcusable. But I will take a guy who can make, and I could list off a dozen.
Me too. I know exactly where you're going.
That other guys can't make versus a guy who goes out there and just doesn't make mistakes. Because again, it's the same argument I had with people about go with Bubby instead of Greasy. Go with Plummer instead of Greasy. Go with Orton instead of Tebow. Orton instead of Cutler. Oh, it's Kyle Orton, best chance to win. BC2W, best chance to win. And win what? That was always my argument in the Tebow thing. Like, win what? Like, play Tebow. At least it's entertaining. Let's see what we got. Let's see if there's some magic to play Kyle Orton and just, be close at the end. And then it's against the Raiders. And all he's got to do is throw the screen pass and it slips out of the back of his hand and turns into a fumble and they lose. Like, you either got the clutch gene or you don't.
Exactly. And those guys don't. Those guys don't. Teddy Bridgewater doesn't. I'm sorry. I never felt confident. Okay, we're going into big game. We got Teddy Bridgewater. You know what you're going to get? It's 3rd and 9. Here comes a check down, 3rd and 6, jog off the field. It's just, he's never made a big play. It's just, I don't know. Listen, I'm a huge Russ guy. I just, again, last year, I'm sorry. He, like you said, he came over and overweight. He wanted to do this. That didn't work. But you had Nathaniel Hackett running that team too. So you got to put a big question and say, okay, we're not counting that. But this year, so do you really think that Payton set Russ up for success this year?
No. I said it when they cut Alberto, and I don't think Alberto's a great player, but it was, you're going to keep nothing but blocking tight ends, right? So tell me who in their backfield could start for more than 5 teams in the league. Tell me which tight end they have could start for more than 5 teams in the league.
None.
Tell me what receiver they have that would be a number 1 receiver on any team in the league. None. So, I mean, give me a break. And listen, Travis makes a good point here. We have no pass rush, no linebackers, sketchy O-line, and questionable running game. Sean has proven he can do it 1 year. He just needs a QB. Okay, so you're going to tie up $85 million in dead cap for a player who's not here. So now you need to go get a quarterback while also spending $85 million in cap space on somebody who's not here. How in the hell are you going to fill those other voids?
Right. Listen, I'm with you. If you said, hey, we're getting off of Russ's contract, we're going to have money, I'm just going to throw a name out, and we're all in on Cousins, and then hey, go do it. But we can't do that. We can't do that. We're going to pay basically, okay, he goes to Atlanta, or we're going to pay $38 million, and he's going to play for $1 million in Pittsburgh, win 12 games. We're going to win 5 or 6, and we're going to look like fools. Fools.
Yep. But you know what? I'm sure all these guys will be going on the radio talking about how good Jarrett Stidham's going through his progressions. Can't wait to hear that. That'll be fantastic.
That's what's going to happen. And we're going to be sick because we had a guy where, again, we never put him in position. And I don't want, people, when we're winning, I heard people say, well, he didn't throw for, he only threw for 161 yards. So, that's not good. Not good. But then a week later, I see the Buffalo Bills destroy the Dallas Cowboys. And I think Josh Allen threw for 90, but everyone's saying, look at what Buffalo did in Josh Allen. Yeah, because that's how you need a running game. Who cares about garbage stats? And then you get mind-boggling.
Well, how can he can't elevate people, really? So those 2 touchdown drives in the fourth quarter against the Patriots. By the way, Cortland Sutton was out of the game. So the excuse of Jarrett Stidham didn't have Cortland Sutton, well, Russ didn't have him for 3/4 of the game against the Patriots. So he's getting it done with Brandon Johnson, Marvin Mims, and Lucas Kroll. Right? And he gets 2 touchdowns, 2 2-point conversions. It's 23-23. They get the ball back. And then all of a sudden, Sean goes back to being Sean instead of like, hey, Russ, go bail us out.
Yep.
And it's 1st and 10. We're going to dump it off to the running back, and we're at 2nd and 13. Sean Payton is the problem. I don't know why people can't understand that and can't see it. He's the problem. It's not Russell Wilson. Coaches are eminently replaceable. There's no salary cap for them. It's easy to move on. Quarterbacks are difficult. Okay. Anybody in the text here, you can have Sean Payton. I'll have Russell Wilson. We'll bet which one wins the Super Bowl first.
Oh, I'm 100% with you. And you know what? I've always said this too about quarterbacks and coaches, right? With the Arizona Cardinals, what was that? What was the draft when they drafted Rosen? Right. So they drafted Josh Rosen. And then the next year they had the number 1 pick, and everyone's like, well, you can't draft another quarterback. You just drafted. But you know what? Kyler Murray was better than Josh Rosen. You do it, you get rid of the mistake, and you go. So you know what? I'm sorry. If Penner thinks Jim Harbaugh is a better fit for the Denver Broncos, he's got to make that move, because there's not going to be another Jim Harbaugh. There's not. And we're going to be in a problem. He was your number 1 guy. And you know what? It doesn't cost us anything with the cap. Just like you said, hey, again, if he turns around and says, hey, I'll make Russ, I'll win with Russ, and then I'll get my guy and I'll go forward. It's something you got to think about. I'm telling you, I was happy they got Payton, but as an offensive play caller this year, he was not good at all. Not good.
Agreed. And I think the Josh Rosen, Kyler Murray example is great. Like, it would have been very easy for the Arizona Cardinals to sit there and say, hey, we just drafted a quarterback. We can't take another one. And people say, well, what if they won with Kyler Murray? Look, before Kyler got hurt 2 years ago, they were the last undefeated team in the NFL. Then he got hurt, wasn't quite the same. They came back. They got to the playoffs. They lost to the Rams, but they were never the same team once he got injured. They were the last undefeated team in the league that year. They were rolling, and now that he's back healthy, I mean, they just went into Philly and won. Yep. Like, if you can't see that Kyler Murray's a really good quarterback and he makes the Cardinals, when he's healthy and when he's right, a threat, then what are we talking about here, right? So I think that's a great way to look at it, of like, if you can upgrade and the only thing holding you back is money, go upgrade. Jim Harbaugh won with Alex Smith and Colin Kaepernick, right? 2 guys who have some abilities and 2 guys who have certainly limitations. And he was able to win big and win big immediately in San Francisco, taking over a team that Mike Singletary and Jim Tomzula and other guys couldn't win with. Jim, if you can get me Jim Harbaugh, see you, Sean. Go back to the Fox set. We'll send you a check every week.
That's what I'm telling you. I'm doing it. And you know what? You have to do it. Like, honestly, it's malpractice if you don't do it. He's the better coach. He's the better fit. I think you have to do it. Kenny's asking a good question. He's saying, if Stidham stinks it up on Sunday, or doesn't wow you on Sunday, how do you trust Sean Payton going into next season?
You don't. And even if he does wow you based on one game, meaningless week 18 game, you're going to believe that? Like, talk about just a false positive. So, I think I think the worst case scenario, Kurt, for the Broncos is Jarrett Stidham goes out and throws for 350 yards. They score 30 points. They're going to talk themselves into, yep, this is the answer. That's the worst case scenario. You honestly want, if you're the Broncos, you want Jarrett Stidham to go out there. It's nothing against Jarrett Stidham. It's just the idea of a journeyman, game manager type quarterback. You want him to fall flat on his face. The Broncos score 9 points and lose. That's big picture. That is much, much better for the Broncos than he goes out there, makes everybody believe he's the answer, makes everybody believe Sean Payton knows what he's talking about. Greg Penner goes, yeah, Sean's right. Look at this offense. Time to move on from Russ. And they put themselves in a huge hole.
No, listen, it's just fascinating, because, I don't know. I've been I know you're a huge Russ guy, and I've always been a big Russ guy. I mean, I don't want to, I always hear, well, what if they won? I heard people still say, what if Aaron Rodgers won? I mean, like, you wouldn't want Aaron Rodgers? You would rather have Jordan Love than Aaron Rodgers? I mean, like, it's mind boggling. Like, what if they won lately? Or it's not like, what if they won lately? What has Stidham ever won? What has half these guys ever won? Nothing.
Jarrett Stidham's career statistics are remarkably close to Paxton Lynch. Remarkably.
I mean, it's, people here, extend, they should have extended Bridgewater. I mean, Bridgewater couldn't get a job. He's retiring. He's going to be a high school coach. He's a backup. Stidham's a backup. Case Keenum's a backup. You're not going to win with these guys. Like, I always look at it by saying, hey, I'm going into a fight. I'm going into Arrowhead to fight Patrick Mahomes. All right, come on. I got Teddy Bridgewater. It's comical.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. And, the people, there's just two camps. And we've seen it for 25 years in this town. And it's the same people making the argument all the time. There's the folks who like the underdog, and that's Kyle Orton and Brian Greasy and Trevor Siemian and Jarrett Stidham, and they just love that kind of guy. And then there's the ones who say, give me the guy who makes mistakes, but give me the guy that with upside to be special. And that's Jake Plummer and Jay Cutler, Paxton, to some extent. They're not all hits. Yep. Paxton, Drew Lock, Russell Wilson. Give me that group. I don't want anything to do with the other group. I think if you're spending any time with the other group, you're in the HOV lane to nowhere. You have no chance of winning anything. You might win some games, but you're not winning anything. You're just putting yourself squarely in worst case scenario, which is 7-10, 8-9, 9-8, 10-7, with no chance of improving upon it. Like, if the Broncos had stuck with Russ, they win on Sunday, they finish 9-8. He throws for 30 touchdowns and 9 picks. We'd all be saying, hey, they got something to build upon here, right? Go get another receiver.
Tight end,
maybe get a back that's got some explosiveness. Hell of a first year. But now, because they're going to take a huge step back at that point, it's like, well, what are they, even if they finish 9-8, it's not a stepping stone. So I also saw a comment, and I got to just address this. The Penners have deep pockets. They can just absorb the cap hit. It's not about how much money you have.
Yep.
Every team has the same salary cap to spend on players, and you're going to have $85 million of your portion. So roughly 20% in the next 2 years assigned to someone who's not on your roster. It doesn't matter if you're an oil tycoon from Saudi Arabia with bottomless money. The cap is the cap. Like, how do people not understand this, Kurt? It's
well, I've heard people again in the chat, and Jody's mocking it. Draft Desmond Ridder, draft Malik Willis, draft Kenny Pickett, draft. Like, that's the next thing in this draft too. I'm so sick of the people that are saying, okay, well, who do you want? Well, I want Drake May. If he's not there, give me Bo Nix. If not, give me JJ McCarthy. It doesn't work like that. It's one guy's going to be a franchise guy. Another guy's probably going to be okay. And the other guys are going to be busts. So that's just how it works out. So you better have an idea of, you better go all in for this guy. It's not like, well, I want him, but if not him. And it doesn't work like that.
It doesn't. And I just rattled through the examples, right? Of like, hey, here's the game manager types and the people that everybody wants. And then it's the swing for the fences, all the potential in the world upside guys. The number one example of the Broncos making this mistake it's set this franchise back a decade. They go into the 2017 draft. They have Case Keenum on the roster, and at number 5, they pass on Josh Allen. Right?
Yep.
Game manager, know what you got, man. A real Wednesday whiteboard wizard, and you pass on the guy because his completion percentage and the wind in Laramie isn't what you want, and he's a little too high risk. So it's like, again, which path do you go down? You go down the path of limited, but not going to make a ton of mistakes, or feast or famine, going to drive you crazy at times, but going to make plays. Like,
James, isn't that Drew Lock, Teddy Bridgewater? That's what that is. That's totally what that is. And just like you said about, okay, put Teddy on the board. Okay, I could do this. I could do that. I'll put him in practice. I'm not going to turn it over. But you're never going to win. That kid, Drew Lock, never got a chance. Never got a fair chance. And you know what? He was one of the most talented kids. They took him in the second round. And you know what? You destroyed him here. You destroyed him. We're going to have a competition. Why? Why am he in a competition with Teddy Bridgewater? Why?
Because Vic Fangio needed to start the season 3-0 playing the Giants, the Jags, and the Jets. And you know what? Teddy Bridgewater, short term, gave him a better chance of that. But it was a terrible long-term plan.
Yep.
And they're making another terrible long-term decision. Case Keenum or Josh Allen? What's a short-term? Case Keenum was probably better short-term.
Yep.
The first 8 games of that next season, he was better than rookie Josh Allen. But it's an asinine long-term plan. It's ridiculous. Drew Lock, Teddy Bridgewater. Long-term, short-term. It's just example after example after example. And they keep making the same mistake. And we're about to go into year 26 post-Elway of trying to find an answer other than the 4-year just manna from heaven that came down with Peyton Manning. The rest of it's been just wandering aimlessly through the desert.
James, I appreciate you coming. I got a couple of things. I'll get you out in a couple of minutes, I promise. So a couple of things quick hitter wise. Let me ask you this. What can Sean Payton afford? So say Sean Payton says, okay, I don't want Russ. I'm going to go Stidham in a rookie. What is the worst he would be able to go next year and be able to save any kind of face? Like after whether it's 8-9 or 9-8 this year, can he win 5 or 6 games next year?
No, I think if you lose double digits, you're going to have people asking questions. I think you go 7-10, it's going to be like, what are we doing here? What's the path? Now, it all kind of depends, though, Kurt, how you get there, right? Like, let's say you go 7-10, but 6 of those 10 losses are by a field goal. Well, that's different than if you go 7-10 and 6 of those losses were by 20 points or more, right? Like, I'm a CU Buffs fan. So 4-8 with Coach Prime, when a lot of those, other than 2 games, when 6,
you're right there. They're right there.
You're right there with an Arizona team that if it was a 12-team tournament this year would have been in the playoff. You were right there with them. I'm not a moral victory guy, but you also have to evaluate it and look at it correctly. That's different to being down 29-0 after a quarter and 42-0 at half, and some of the things we saw with previous regimes. So it depends on how they get there. But if you just made me pick a number, I think if you have 10 losses or more next year, there should be a ton of questions being asked. But, he's Sean Payton. He's everybody's, the media all is afraid to ask him anything and say anything about him. So who knows? He'd probably get away with that too.
Next one. Who do you think, if you had to pick one quarterback that you would, in this draft, if you were going to get a first-round quarterback, who would you pick? But who do you think Sean Payton is eyeing in this draft?
Sean Payton, if he had his choice, would take Caleb Williams. I mean, he talked about it before of like,
yeah. All right, don't say that one because he's going to go one. He's probably, besides out of the, say, Daniels, McCarthy, Penix, Bo Nix, who do you think he would take out of that group, a realistic group?
Well, I would take Daniels or Penix because give me the guy with the big upside. I'll take the growing pains. I'll take the struggles because I want the wow factor. You got to have wow factor to win long term. I think he looks at it, and I think McCarthy's exactly his kind of guy. Tell me he doesn't look like Drew Brees at Purdue.
He does. He does.
So, look, if he turns into Drew Brees as an NFL player, great. We're all yelling at the sky for no reason. But that to me feels like very much a Sean Payton guy.
It's just a major gamble because and a lot of other one Kenny was asking next year, where could you see Russ going? He's a Giants fan. Any shot with the Giants, or they're just tied up with Daniel Jones and all that?
I haven't looked specifically at that contract, but man, that's a big contract they just signed. So I would think that'd be tough to get out of. I think Pittsburgh's a really good option. I think the Raiders would be.
Can you imagine that, having to deal with him?
Yep. And then I think another one, like if you're the Atlanta Falcons and you've got Robinson in the backfield and you've got London outside and you've got Kyle Pitts at tight end, like if you're the Atlanta Falcons, you're Arthur Smith. What's the number one reason you're not running away with that division?
Quarterback.
You can get Russell Wilson next year for $1 million. You're going to pay your backup left guard more than $1 million.
Yep.
Why would you not do that?
And you know what? And Arthur Smith better save his job next year too. So, you know, like he better, he's an offensive guru, right? So, he better be able to have a productive offense next year. Or like you're saying, he's coaching for his career next year.
Correct. So, but if I'm Russ, where do I want to go? And we'll see who ultimately is the offensive coordinator in Pittsburgh. I don't know. Arthur Smith, I believe he came from Tennessee, right? So he comes from Coach Derrick Henry. What's his passing game ever been that's really lit the world on fire? And then we don't know who the coach is going to be with the Raiders. But if it's Antonio Pierce and they bring an offensive coordinator you like, maybe that's the direction you go. There's going to be plenty of people that are looking at it that, hey, Russell Wilson would be a good fit. Russell Wilson at $1 million, there's going to be a lot of people thinking that's a good fit.
And we're paying for, we're going to be watching them in the playoffs next year and with a championship run. Like it's going to be disgusting. Like I said, listen, I love listening to you, love reading, like you had the 2 articles today about the money, how the money is basically the same, whether you keep them or you don't keep, like the people keep thinking, I think a lot of people think in their mind, oh my God, this contract, get rid of it. We'll have the money. We can go get somebody. That's not reality. That's correct. That's not reality. So, you're going to pay for somebody you're not having on the team, and he's going to be playing somewhere else. So,
that's the part of it that people just don't understand of, again, is a hamburger worth $30? No. But would you rather pay $30 for a hamburger or $30 for a plate with nothing on it? That's the question. And I don't understand how it's difficult. I just don't.
It's mind-boggling. But James, I really do appreciate it. I mean, I like I said, I love listening to you. I love, when you write everything you write on there. And I just don't know, man. As a Bronco fan, I was hyped up when we got Russell Wilson. Like, thank God we finally, I always say everybody should be on their knees. We got Russell Wilson. And, now we're back to this, backup quarterback as a starter, where some people, I don't understand the people that like, let's get the bridge quarterback. Like, you don't win with a bridge quarterback. You don't.
And I would rather go 12-5 than 8-8, obviously, but I'd also rather go 5-12 than be in the middle of the pack. Like, you got to be one extreme. Don't be stuck in the middle. So yeah, man, it'll be fascinating to see how it turns out. I love coming on. I could banter about this all day. You got some great folks on the side here putting in comments. And to me, that's what's awesome about sports talk, right? Yep. It's the debate. We all have our opinion. Right now, nobody's right or wrong. We're fixing to find out, but I love the banter. I love going back and forth. So anytime you want to have me on, I'd be thrilled to come back.
Awesome, James. I really do appreciate it.
All right, man. Take care.
Man. Go Broncos.
Go Broncos.
Have a good one. All right. So that was James Merilatt. And listen, again, one of my favorite guys on Denver Sports Radio, does an awesome job. Articles he writes when he comes on. And yeah, you know what? Just like, hey, I'll say I'm like him, man. I am a huge Russ guy. I really am. And I think this is going to be a mistake. I really do. You have to have a plan. And it's why I threw up before. I don't throw up like that. I'm saying I threw up this plan and I said it to Kenny. Sean Payton cannot put his career on the line with Jarrett Stidham. He can't. You're not going to go from this year 8 or 9 wins and go backwards. It's just not going to happen. And it's why I just threw this scenario out, right? Only a year ago, they were all supposed to be down in Miami. It was supposed to be Gronk, it was supposed to be Payton, and it was supposed to be Tom Brady. Then the NFL caught wind. Hey, They're not doing it. They find the owner, took away draft picks. Little tea leaves came out the other day. Brady on Sunday put an article, said, hey, I was thinking about coming back for 2023, but my friends threw me a party, so I guess I had to stay retired. I don't know. I just, I need a pocket passer. I need somebody to throw over the middle. I need, I need accuracy. Well, who's more of all those than Tom Brady? Oh, but he's 47 years old. Yeah, but he's not a 47-year-old like body. He's in tremendous shape. He threw for, everybody says about yards. Well, he threw for the most or second most yards he ever did 2 years ago, right? When they lost to Tampa Bay. So is that something he's thinking about? Do you go that route of, hey, give him to me for a year, give him to me for 2 years? Because with him, you're going to compete, right? I mean, really, you should have won the division this year versus Kansas City. Kansas City is not a good roster. Let's be totally realistic. All these people that say Kansas City is going to be a Super Bowl contender for the next 14 years. Where? We talk about decline. Patrick Mahomes is declining in front of our eyes, boys and girls, declining. Okay. You got your tight end who waddles up and down the field. He's done. You got no receivers. They're becoming now a run team, right? Pacheco, and they're running their defense. And there's Pearl saying, how about Tom Brady? I'm telling you, we talk about it we don't have cap space. We can't go get Kirk Cousins for $30-40 million. But you know what? What money does Brady need, right? We have signing bonuses. We have all that. Hey, Brady, sign for 15-16 million. Okay. And we'll give you a signing bonus of $50 million up front, whatever. Boom. There you go. That's how you get it done. Again, when they say when there's smoke, there's fire, right? So this was all going to happen a year ago in Miami with Brady, Gronk, and Payton. Just bring them here. Bring him here. It's the easiest way for him to save face, right? So now you go, there's your starter, your backup Stidham, and now you draft your rookie. So you're going to go player to play. You're going to go, hey, legit, we can win now. Again, because just like I asked James, you cannot go from 8 or 9 wins to 4, 5, 6 wins. You just can't do it. They're going to run him out of town, and he should be run out of town. You don't get rid of Russell Wilson to win 6 games. You have to upgrade. So if you win 8 or 9 games and you're getting rid of him, you have to take the next step. Just like when we had Tebow and we won with Tebow. We didn't go and say, okay, let's get rid of Tebow and go down. We went up and we said, hey, let's go get Peyton Manning. You have to upgrade. Okay. Sean Payton isn't going to be here for 10 years, guys. He's not going to do it. And I know people are going to want to say he's not going to do it. He wants to get this Super Bowl as the first coach to win on a second team and say, adios, see ya, look what I did. I'm heading back to the studio. That's what he's going to want to do. And I have no problem with it. But I think that's, he's not going to go backwards. He's not here for a 7-year plan. He might set us up for 7 years, but he's going to try to win quick and then say, hey, I won. I got it done here. And look what I have for you. So I have no problem with that rookie. I have no problem if you want to go rookie. He's not going to go rookie from day one. He has to win next year. He has to be better than what we were this year. So we are at worst case scenario 8 and 9. And we probably should have, or best case scenario 9 and 8. But obviously, we're probably 2 or 3 wins even better than what we should have been this year. You cannot go backwards. So you're not going to see Stidham or, all these other guys coming in. He has to get better. He has to have a better record next year. Okay. And then, hey, if he wants to turn it over, it's why I'm telling you, like, I don't know. I got this feeling with Brady. I know Keith's saying about Brady with 30 million. It's not about that. It's not about that with him. Again, you could pay people so much. I'm going to give you signing bonus money up front. Listen, Brady doesn't need that money, right? Hey, we could be able to find, hey, here's 10, 15 million. Here's your listen, that's how he did it his whole career, right? That's what he did. Okay. That works the deal with Sean. Hey, we're going to give you some kind of, money down the road, or listen, cash up front. Nobody has more cash than us. It's just something I'm telling you. I have this feeling because see, like Stidham, Stidham and a rookie. Sure. It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. Sean Payton is not putting his career in the hands of Stidham. He's not, because if we win 4, 5, or 6 games next year, all hell's going to break out, and that's going to be on Sean Payton. And then that's it. Then he's done. Then you're really going to hear, listen, you flopped in Denver, you flopped in New Orleans when you didn't have Drew Brees. I want to get to a couple comments before I go, just because I felt like I didn't get to everyone's comments tonight because I didn't want to interrupt James that much. But obviously, Michael Ron Key, our good friend, Albert Knoppers, tuning in. Kenny, I got a couple of comments from him. Scoops was saying, I was wondering whether it be Kurt said a special guest. No. Our good friend Trevor was chiming in. Obviously, Keith was with us tonight. JC Weaver saying, James, you're one of my favorites on the fan. Thanks for speaking the truth. That's from JC Weaver. Graham, I got that one with Graham. I'm just trying to read it. Albert, I agree. It's shameful what they're doing to Russ. Absolutely. There was Keith. I got that one in. Then Keith is saying they're paying him $85 million to play for whatever team he wants. That's not shameful. Graham saying James is all right with Payton yelling at him. How scary. Scoops, I don't know why you keep saying 60 million about Hurts. His highest here is 43. It's still a lot of money. The 46. Well, he went up from 43 to 46. Keith is saying what we got, we traded for 8 and 8 and 11 and 19. Listen, you ain't getting 11 and 8 and 8 and 11, 19 with Jarrett Stidham. So let's be realistic. Travis is saying Russ has hit his ceiling. He's literally done nothing since 2013. Michael Ronquillo, Simmons, Mims, and PS2 going to the Pro Bowl. I asked that one. Trevor saying this is on ownership, though. They hired Sean Payton and gave up premium when likely he didn't want Russ past the year. The head coach quarterback relationship is very important. They also wanted to re-sign Russ long-term without seeing him play it down for the Broncos. Again, that's why it's important. That's why Penner has to make a decision. That's what that ownership wanted. If you have a coach, and I'm telling you, that coach could be Jim Harbaugh, it's got to be something you think about. Where's Tom Brady, right, Kurt? Keith, say whatever you want, Keith, but let's be totally realistic. Are you taking Tom Brady or Jarrett Stidham next year? I mean, that's a no. I'm taking Tom Brady 3 years from now than Jarrett Stidham. They're two different. They're in two different atmospheres. So I would love Keith to answer that. He would rather have Jarrett Stidham next year than Tom Brady. Whether or not you get a first round pick and you got to watch. Listen, if I'm a rookie, I want to sit behind Tom Brady, not Jarrett Stidham. If I'm Sean Payton, I want Tom Brady running my offense, not Jarrett Stidham. If I'm the Chiefs, Chargers, or Raiders, yeah, then I want you to have Jarrett Stidham because then you ain't beating those teams. But you put Tom Brady on this team. Listen, you're probably gonna win the division. Keith is saying Jody, but Russ is a Hall of Famer and Herbert isn't, right? Listen, Herbert, I don't want to put him in any conversation. Herbert, his first playoff win will be his next playoff win will be his first playoff win. Kenny saying Mahomes, Herbert, and potential franchise rookie in Vegas and a bridge. What are these Bronco fans thinking? You'll win 5 games. If 5 games will win, absolutely. There's Travis saying Sean Payton is our least concern. I'm sorry, I'm just trying to catch up on these real quick. Travis, the point was Payton got the same production from a backup quarterback. He proved his point. Albert, the touchdown was not because of Stidham. That happened because of little Jordan Humphrey. There's Keith saying bingo. Keith, it's amazing that owner, GM, and coach have come to the conclusion that moving on from Russ is the best option, that the Russ camp is right. See, I don't know about that. First off, the GM has no decision. The GM is the biggest puppet around. Let's be totally realistic. He has 0 say. I think I have more say with the Broncos than George Payton. He has no say at all. Staffiero saying Keith Brugman, preach. Again, Staffiero, love you, Staffiero, but I mean, you wanted Malik Willis. You wanted to extend Teddy Bridgewater 2 years, $56 million, and you wanted Carson Strong. I mean, that's not working out. He found ways to win with these second-rate, third-rate starters. Systematic fit. Russ Payton just don't mix. Again, I don't know if he did. Then why did he leave New Orleans? If he won with those guys, David Slade. Come on, guys, he's nowhere. Payton, he is gone. Payton is going nowhere. Dan Quinn with Shoddy as OC. That's probably what they should have done. I'm just going to get to the end. There's so many comments. I can't even get to. I don't want to. I want to get you guys off. Frankly, Pearl saying, frankly, I love Lawrence. Kurt, you opened my eyes after mentioning Brady. Is Payton going to want to rebuild or have a chance? Keith, I don't want 47-year-old Brady or $30 million. That will only hurt this organization. I don't know, Keith, how you don't want Tom Brady. I mean, he's the perfect Sean Payton guy. That's Sean Payton handpicked. They were going together, right? Here's the deal. We're going to Miami. We're taking Gronk, and we're going to be in the sun in Miami. NFL put it down. Boom. They did it illegally. So there's smoke, there's fire. How you don't want $47 million? I mean, $30 million. First, I'm not worried about $30 million. Again, how they can pay him, we can pay him straight cash. We can do signing bonuses. That's why what happens when you have ownership with this money. So that I'm not worried about that. We'll get that done. But don't worry about the money there. You're not worried about Russ's money, but you're worried about paying Tom Brady. If I can get Tom Brady, Kenny, if I can get Tom Brady for a year or two, I draft my first round quarterback. Away we go, and let's go. Because again, he has to win next year. He cannot afford to go from 8 or 9 wins to 6 wins. Think about how stupid he's going to look. Think about why would you get rid of a quarterback to go down? What programs have gone down, right? Look at Kansas City. Alex Smith. They had Alex Smith. Then they went to Mahomes to go up. Nobody goes down. You go up. Where you go down? How? For what? Why? You should have won the division this year. Think about it. If you beat New England, you're probably going to win the division this year. You lost to New England, the Commanders, the Raiders, and the Jets at home. 2 of those games winning. I know Dave or somebody was saying about the roster in Kansas City. What roster in Kansas City? What? They got nothing. Nothing. Aging. You talk about aging. You got an aging tight end hobbling up and down the field. You got a quarterback. You talk about regressed. I mean, this guy runs around like a top. I mean, anybody talk about best quarterbacks, Peyton Manning and those guys, they were in their 40s. This guy's downhill and right in front of our eyes. So you can't afford to go win. You don't go down, you go up. So you better get somebody better than Russ that's going to take you to the next level now. I'm not worried about 4 years from now. Sean Payton might not be here 4 years from now. You got to go up. All right, last comments. There's Michael Rinkiel. Tom Brady is a Sean Payton guy. He is the guy. Listen, again, done deal a year ago. Done deal in Miami. So again, Sean Payton is not a dumb guy. So again, Sean Payton is not going to just say, I'm going with Stidham next year, and that's my guy that I'm riding with. I don't believe it. I do not believe it. I think there's a plan in place. I think he's going to reach out to Brady. Not to say Brady's going to do it, but his number one option is going to be Tom Brady. And you know what? It's the only option. That's all we got. That's the only thing we got to be able to compete next year. That's it. Unless you're going to throw the farm and all these people, oh my God, draft picks. Hey, if you want, go get Caleb Williams. Give up 24, give up 25, give up 26, give it all up. Go give all those 3 draft picks to go get your guy. Because you can't just sit back at where we're going to pick and say, I'm picking whatever quarterback's on the board. You're not going to win like that. Let's be honest. You have to go get your guy and get high. So it's going to be 24 pick, 25 pick, 26 pick, second round picks. Hey, if you want to do it, let's go do it. I'm all in. And hey, that guy starts from day one. But there's no way Stidham's playing next year to win 5-6 games. It just can't happen. Let's see what else. Kenny saying you opened my eyes. Frankly, I love Lawrence by Pearl. Matt Staffriero. So deep pockets works for Brady, but doesn't help rebuilding the team. Sounds like a contradiction. I don't get that. Absolutely. And JJ, another Michigan guy, watches the best. Brady is a Sean Payton guy. JJ only 20 years old. Purton. Keith saying adding 30 to 85 and expecting Tom to take the roster to the promised land. No way. You need to start investing for when Russ contract comes off the books and you win back to Super Bowls again. With who? Stidham? Who? He got hurt dancing at the Swiftie concert. He did it with Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay roster was loaded, though. Peyton rebuild chat. I doubt it. Keith Drew Brees is a Sean Payton guy, but they are both old, retired, and done playing NFL. Move on, not an option. I don't know, Keith. I don't think you wanted an option. That's what I think it is. I don't think you want an option. For some reason, you guys want to take these journeyman quarterbacks and say, look what we did. We won 7 games with the guy. You guys got to understand, you will never win with journeyman quarterbacks. You will never do it. And I don't mean win. Hey, we won 10 games and look, we made the wild card. You are never going to be. The object in football is to win a Super Bowl championship. That is your number one job. The job isn't, I'm here to build this team for 14 years. That it doesn't work like that. Only one team has done that. That's been the Patriots. Only one. Nobody else can do it. They're not going to do it. Okay? You're never going to see it again. Just like you are in the NBA with the way the Spurs did it. It's not going to happen. Okay? It's not going to happen. All the Colorado people with the Avalanche, right? They got one cup. One cup in the past couple of years. They've been the best team every year, but they got one cup. They did it. They did what they had to do. But 10 years down the road, they're not going to be like this. And who cares? That's not what the object is. The object is to win your one title. Worry about that when you get that. So, all these people, oh, we're going to win that. No. No, you don't win with journeyman quarterbacks. You don't win with Stidhams. You don't win with Keenums. You don't win with Bridgewaters. You just don't do. It doesn't happen. Okay. Those guys are there. They're backups. That's what they are. When you put a backup as a starter, you will not win. End of story. Doesn't happen. Okay. Doesn't happen. All right. Never going to say like Nick Foles came in and won. But Nick Foles, when he became a starter, he could never become a starter. Why? Because he's a backup. He is a backup quarterback. You're not going to play a season with, Teddy Bridgewater and win a Super Bowl. It's not going to happen. It hasn't happened. Right? It hasn't happened. He had Sean Payton and all those weapons in New Orleans. What happened? Right? Like, or why didn't they stay with him? Come on, it just doesn't work. Couple more comment. Brad Johnson. Again, Brad Johnson, you took a defense that was just unbelievably the same thing like you're going to say with Trent Dilfer. First off, that's a different age. You guys don't want to play football like that. You don't want to play like the way the Ravens did with Trent Dilfer. You want to have your quarterback throwing. Teddy Bridgewater is a backup. Okay? So, again, you're not going to win like that. You are not going to win with Stidham. And I'm a Stidham guy. I'm an Auburn fan. I saw what he did at Auburn. 2 weeks in a row. Beat number one Georgia, beat number one Alabama. He was a good college quarterback. He's a good backup in the league, but he's not a starter. End of story. He's not a starter. You're not going to win. Keith saying Joe Flacco. Listen, I mentioned Joe Flacco the other day. Joe Flacco is a Super Bowl champion. Joe Flacco. And when you look at Joe Flacco carried that team. Joe Flacco carried that team that won that Super Bowl. The defense didn't beat Denver. The defense gave up 35 points, right? The defense didn't beat New England. That was Joe Flacco did that. But all you guys say, oh, Joe Flacco, this. I would take Joe Flacco. I'd rather have Joe. The Browns are better with Joe Flacco than Deshaun Watson. I could tell you that. So, I don't want to hear that. Brock Purdy was a backup. Again, that's a little different because you're putting him with the best play caller and a stacked team. Again, I'm not giving Brock Purdy, I could say this, I'm not giving Brock Purdy $40 million when his contract's up. No. I saw Brock Purdy 2 weeks ago. They said, hey, Brock Purdy's the MVP candidate. Let's, on Christmas night, let's let him, let Brock cook. No more Brock cooking. Shanahan's, you'll be seeing the playoff game. They'll run it 40 times because Brock Purdy, do your job, hand it, throw it with off play action. No more of that. So that's it. Matt's saying draft your rookie, systematic fit, find your guy, draft him, run it. Purdy is a perfect example of why No. Purdy, right. So again, but see, like Matt would say, give Purdy $40 million. No. I could get anybody to do what Purdy does. In that situation. So no. Nope. I saw it. Kenny saying non-cooking in the Brock pot. Sorry. No dice there. Kenny saying, show them the wall. Auburn, really for Auburn fan. And that's it. I didn't want to get to any, there's so many comments. I didn't want to, it's crazy getting to everything, but, Purdy was a lucky pick. He was right. See that pick because of how good of a coach Kyle Shanahan is. Kyle Shanahan saved, John Lynch's job from getting fired because John Lynch, they wanted, Trey Lance, who was an absolute bust, major bust, traded all those picks to get Trey Lance. And if you luckily didn't have a head coach that, fit, just the way he runs the best offense in football. The best offense in football is the Shanahan offense. From Mike Shanahan to Kyle Shanahan to McVay to, what's the guy, the Green Bay guy? That's the best offense in football. So when people say Mike Shanahan couldn't coach, really? Mike Shanahan, I would take Mike Shanahan tomorrow to be a coach because everyone's running it in the league. He's the best. Shanahan's the best offense. It always has been, right? And it always will be. Because when you can run the football and throw play action off of it, that's what football's about. It's not about we're going to throw it 60 times. You don't win like that. You're not going to win like that. You're not. You run the ball, play deep. It's you run the ball, play defense, and make your quarterback make 4 to 6 plays a game. That's it. That's all you need. That's all you need to do. And you know what? Why are the Niners doing it? Look at Kansas City now. Kansas City is becoming that team, right? Kansas City is now a run-first team with Pacheco, right? They lean on their defense. God, Mahomes make 3-4 plays. That's what they are. That's because that's how you win in this league. Look at Buffalo, right? All I heard was people say, but you can't win with Russ can't only throw for 120 yards. Buffalo threw for 90 yards versus Dallas. 90 yards, Josh Allen, but they ran for 200. Now Buffalo is a run first, put it on defense. We're not going to have Josh Allen throw it all over around. We are going to run it, play defense, and Josh Allen go make 4 plays. Now they're back to contenders, right? It's like a miracle. Like, oh my God, it works. Yeah, it works. It works. Defense wins championship. Miami, oh, Mike McDaniels, look at what he's got drawn up. Oh, my God. They got beat, 50-something. Where are they on Sunday? Where were they? They got plastered in Baltimore. Plastered. They go on the road. They're one and done. You don't win like that. Run it, play defense, let your quarterback 4 to 6 times a play. That's football. It's never going to change. Never going to change. We're going to watch Monday night. We're going to just see Michigan's going to line up. Here we come. 40 carries right at Washington. Washington's going to be like this on defense. Oh, stop, please. Here we go. Play action. McCarthy over the top. Boom. They'll walk out with the trophy. It's football. That's it. You want a running quarterback? You got the Alabama kid. You want a pocket guy that's going to, be able to run first play? You got Michigan. Michigan's in. Alabama's going home. Right? Look at Texas. I'll say it again. Texas, first half of that game, running the ball right at Washington. All of a sudden, Washington can't stop them. But what do we do? Sarkisian. Okay, we're going to start throwing it with Quinn Ewers. Why? You're getting 7-8 yards a carry. Run it 50 times. Texas is home. Washington's in the trophy. Harbaugh won't do that, though. They're going to get it 50 times right in their face. That's what's going to happen. All right, guys. So last set of comments, and then I am going to get out. Keith, everyone I listed was a one-time Super Bowl winner that people consider not elite, not a starter, not a winner. Trevor, best thing to do if you're the Broncos, you move off the rest of the season is trade back. Fill the holes they are, sign Winston, Stidham, and DiNucci for a year, then you get your QB next year. Jody, Trey Lance is how you judge their QB pick. Absolutely, Jody. You don't look at, oh, we got Brock Purdy. No, your plan wasn't Brock Purdy. Your plan was Trey Lance, and that was an absolute abysmal. I don't even know what word I can use with it. John Lynch sure has helped out Kyle Shanahan, though. Keith, John Lynch was on. Listen, if there's no Brock Purdy and Kyle Shanahan, John Lynch is looking for a job because that was one of the worst trades ever and draft picks ever. James nailed it earlier, Kurt. Keep Russ, bring back and draft Bowers. 100%. If you draft Bowers, you bring in a running back and you get another receiver with Russell Wilson next year, you're division champs easily. You're probably playing an AFC championship game. With this defense back and you have Russ in that, absolutely. But there's people here, I don't want Russ. I want Stidham. And then they win 4, 5, 6 games. And those people, they won't be on podcasts. They'll be hiding. Oh, I didn't say that. Just like, I'm going to, let's extend Teddy Bridgewater. Let's draft Malik Willis, number 3. Let's draft Kenny Pickett. Let's do this. And let's get that. Get out of here. Yeah, that's not a plan. You have one shot. So your shot was Pickett. He got benched. He's done in Pittsburgh. Your shot was Willis. He got benched during the season. They had to play, what's the guy's name that's on the Vikings? They didn't even trust him. He'll never play. Carson Strong is coaching high school football. Who's the other guy? And Teddy Bridgewater is going to go coach high school football. Remember, 2 years, $56 million. That's mind-boggling talk. You can't do that. Kenny, I want that with Russ, not a bridge. Travis Purdy was already exposed during a 3-game losing streak. He will be exposed again at some point in the playoffs. Kenny, fix 3 holes. Trevor cannot be forced to take a quarterback if he isn't the guy. 100%. Bottom line, Daniels, Williams, and May likely are going to be gone. Bronco team isn't a quarterback away. Pearl saying, I like Tebow. Michael Ranquillo, Carson Beck in the 25 draft. And so that's it. Again, I want to give a major shout out to James Merilatt. I want to give a shout out to James for coming on. Again, awesome. Denver Sports Radio. Please check him out. Writing, listening. He's awesome. I want to thank all you guys for watching, for commenting. It was a great show. Sorry I couldn't get to every comment. It was hard doing it with, again, I didn't want to interrupt James, but I will get back to, next week we'll get back and I'll, make sure I read every comment. I will go back and read every comment. Keith, I want Stidham because that's the best pass forward. Now Russ is gone. You want Payton to leave the Broncos just the Saints? No, I'm sorry. I don't want Stidham. Stidham's not, you're not going to win with Stidham. You're not going to win. You're not going to get better. Again, listen, it's Greg Penner. You got a tough decision, man, because you got one of the best coaches in football, Jim Harbaugh, that's probably coming to the NFL, and he's probably coming to our division. So, money's not much to you, Greg. If your first choice is Jim Harbaugh, you got to think long and hard about doing this and saying, Sean, sorry, it just didn't work here. And, I'm going to do it. If not, and hey, if Sean's the guy, I don't know why. I think there's a Tom Brady rumor that you're going to see soon. Not saying it's going to happen because he is 47 years old, but Sean Payton wants a pocket passer, accurate, throws over the middle. Sean Payton says every week, I'm here to win. I'm not here to 5 years, 6 years now. I want to win now. I'm here to win. What better way is to win is to take Tom Brady, right? You got to do it. If he wants to play and you can do it financially, and you could because of your ownership, you got to do it. Hey, you want your buddy Gronk? I'll make him the second tight end, get another tight end. Let's go, right? I mean, you're doing that. You want to do it with Stidham? I'm not doing it with Stidham. Stidham can sit back. You got Brady. So do it for a year or two. Draft your rookie. Let your rookie learn under Brady. And then whether, hey, you win it with Brady and you want to say, I'm going back to Fox, whatever you want to do, or you want to stick around for your young guy, either way, or you set this franchise up. So again, I think it's either, my opinion, it's Harbaugh, and you make the switch, and hey, whether Harbaugh wants Russ or not, and you go from there, and Harbaugh is your better fit. Or if you stay with Payton, there's something up the sleeve, guys. It ain't Stidham, because let's be honest, we're Bronco fans. We can't go backwards. You're not going to win with Stidham. You're not. We can't afford 6 and 12, 6 and 11 next year. 7 and 10, 7 and 10. We can't do it. We can't do it. And Sean Payton can't do it. He'll get run out of town. So something's in the works, man. Something's in the works. Sean Payton's going to have something. It ain't going to be Stidham and a rookie. I can tell you that. It's not going to be. Ranquillo saying, great show, Kurt, and go Broncos. Absolutely. What great agents are going to comment Stidham, blah, blah, blah. Not many free agents with Stidham. I'm sorry to break the news. Absolutely. But other than that, guys, have a good night. Love doing the show, and we will see you next Wednesday. Go Broncos.